last and not the least one, that the testing part will cover today. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, okay. See that now we are remaining only the Node.js. Okay, so the backend part is left, and I don't know how much is completed within the React. Maybe partially the React part is left, Node.js, and this backend part is only remaining. Where we will learn how to create how to develop the API, REST API, which can be invoked from any front end, not only Angular, but it may be React or any other framework, or even from the using Ajax also you can invoke the API. So for that, it is not necessary that you require a sophisticated front end, but even from the plain JavaScript, you can make a fetch API. You can call the fetch API to invoke the backend APIs. So this backend API, REST API can be written in any language. We'll learn it in the Node.js, how to do that. And then the backend part will be finished, and we'll integrate it with the front end, and our whole application will be complete. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, fine. So we'll talk about how to do the testing in our Angular project. So mainly one of the important testing is unit testing. So as and when you develop some function, class, components, or in Angular we have pipes, directives, or services, all those can be tested using the unit testing method. So we'll study them. And the framework that will help in testing is the Jasmine framework. That will study that. So some of the tools available for testing JavaScript code are this Jasmine, Karma, this Phantom.js, Istanbul's, Sinon, Kai, and Jasmine is available along with the Angular to test our code. Basically, it's a JavaScript testing framework, and it supports the behavior-driven development. So you might have heard of TDD, test-driven development. Anyone? Okay. Okay, there is a question that React and Angular are front end, but most of the work is done by the back end. So what is the confusion? Both are independent. Like we do, you are studying and your parents are working and they are paying your fees. So both are working independently, right? Your job is to study and your parents' job is to work and pay your fees. Here also front end is doing or rendering the data on the screen of the browser. So it is basically manipulating the client side, and the job of the backend is to fetch the data as per the requirement by the front end. So see that the logic part or business logic will be part of the backend, and nowadays both are independent. And yeah, so the job of the backend is to connect to the database and the fetch the data and pass it on to the client. That is your front. You just ask that pay this much fees and they are paying. That's it. Here also the client or the front end is asking that I need this much data, please give me. And the backend will fetch the data from the database and it will pass it on to the front end. So it is called separation of concern. Both are independent. They can work independently and they can pass the data, set the information via API call. The job of the database is to only store the data that you know. Okay, nothing else. And the backend code may be written in PHP, Python, Node.js, C Sharp, any other language, or your JSP, Soulet. The job of this is to fetch the data from the database and pass it to the client. But so far you have developed web application, there was no front end. Okay, very front end means very basic front end in the sense you had used only HTML, CSS or JavaScript. But now the front end is also sophisticated. So it is also uses some framework like Angular, React, Vue, or there are many other frameworks, JavaScript based frameworks are available where they can use the complex business logic on the client side to render the data. It can be used to develop this single page application. Okay, so let us see what is TDD. Let me, yeah. In TDD, that means test driven development. When you develop an application, you are first thing is you develop the test before you do the actual implementation. So before any implementation code is written, you write down the test. You define your requirements, and once your requirements are defined, you need to write down the test cases. Okay, I hope that you already know the test cases and test suites. Right? Let me. All of you know the test cases. Okay, so in software engineering, you must have learned the test cases. For any functionality, you need to define the test cases. So once your requirement is defined, the client will tell you that I need to develop this application and these are my requirement. You identify the requirement, based on that you write down the test cases. And then what you do, even you have not written any single line of code, you need to write down test cases and test your application. So definitely when you test your application, all the test cases will fail because no code is written, even not a single line of code. So the next job is to write down or fill that gap. So you one by one implement the functionality required. Okay. So what happens, as soon as you write one functionality, that test case will pass. So based on the one functionality, there may be multiple test cases. Suppose you have written one class and containing one method. Okay. Or even let us say very simple function, a single function. So single function can have multiple test cases. Suppose you are writing max function to find out the maximum number of two numbers. So there may be multiple test cases that first number is less than second one, or both the numbers are equal, or first number is greater than second one, and so forth. One of the number is zero, one or either number is negative, and so forth. So you can write multiple test cases. And then you have to test that function whether it passes all these test cases or not. So sometimes it may pass one or more test cases, but not all. But the function is fully tested until all the test cases are passed. So one of the test cases that first number is greater than second number is greater than first, kind of thing. If all the test cases are passed, then only we can say that that function is working correctly. So this is how TDD works. So the flow, basically it is a part of, it also has one branch of development called behavior development, wherein you define the behavior of your function application, and based on that you define the different test cases. So what do? You start with the, you are writing failing test cases because initially you have not written any code. So you write down all the test cases. Then you write the code to make it pass. Okay. So once all the test cases are written, you test your application. All the test cases will fail because no code is available. But once you write down the functionality, maybe in terms of function, classes, or in Angular we have components or pipes, directives, then the code, the test cases may either pass or fail. If it passes, then it is fine. But if it fails, you need to again change the code. Once you change the code, again you make sure that it passes all the test cases, and you have to repeat this cycle until all the test cases are cleared. Okay, so this is the BDD, behavior driven development. And now we'll talk more about this, a few more tools like Karma tool, which is an automation tool for controlling this testing, and it can also test. It can also give the reports under in the browser. And once you define multiple test cases, this can generate the different kinds of reports. So in Angular, when you use the Angular CLI and Angular, when you scaffold the project, then it comes with these tools installed. Karma tool, Jasmine framework, all these tools are already installed when you scaffold the Angular application using the Angular CLI utility. Okay, whenever we write down ng new command, then it will also scaffold the project and it will also install this library. So we did not require to install it separately. It is there when you create a new project. And there are a few other testing framework like Phantom.js, which provides browserless environment to test your applications. And it provides more control over automating this testing task. And it can also test along the workflow. And it can also use the DOM kind of thing to test the application. But right now we'll not study this Phantom.js. We'll study this Jasmine framework and Karma tool to test our Angular application. And most of the time we'll use this Jasmine framework, which is mainly used for unit testing our application. Okay, Istanbul is used to for code coverage reports. So how much testing is done, because in a complex application, we need to know how much testing is automated. Okay, and code coverage, I hope that all of you know this term, code coverage. Okay, code coverage means suppose you have written function or an algorithm which is implemented through function or classes or methods, then there are many if cases and so forth. So sometime it may happen that if the condition is false, the if statement will not be executed, isn't it? And there are many such if condition. There may be while loop, for loop. Okay, and based upon the condition, either the all this entire while loop will be executed or not. So that means suppose if condition is false, that if statement will not be executed, that means that code is not executed. And if that code is not executed, we have not tested that code. Effectively, that part of the code is left from testing. Is it clear? That means code is not fully covered. Testing is not fully done. So we need to try out all the different kind of cases such that all these different different paths are covered or tested. So that is called code coverage, and how much of your program or the full code is tested, we need to check. Okay, so this tool help in tracking that how much code is covered. So that basically it is called code coverage. Whether it is 100% is quite difficult, because then you need to make sure that each and every if loop or if while loop is iterating 1,000 times, you need to make sure that all the 1,000 iterations happens, and in all the cases your code is being tested. And again, another term, related term, is white box testing. Okay, so there it is useful, code coverage. In there are mainly two types of testing: black box testing and white box testing. In white box testing, you need to find out which path of the algorithms are executed, whether this is executed or not, how many iterations are there. You need to go for best case, worst case, average case. Okay. And then there one more tool, Sinon, wherein it provides the features like spy or stubs. So these are testing related terms, because can you say what is stub? Stub, or rather whether it is sub or stub. There is also another term, stub. Correct. Dummy functions, dummy module. So this stub is, why do we require this? Why do we require stubs? Great that you know this stuff, but do you know why is it required? If you want to test it, so why it is dummy? If you want to test function module, why is it dummy? What is the benefit? Our objective is to test the actual code or actual implementation. So the reason these stubs are used is, suppose you, let's say very trivial example. Suppose in my program there are 10 functions, and out of them 8 has been developed. The 2 are left by the developer to be developed. So should I wait for all the functions to be implemented, then only should I test it? Should I wait until all the modules, all the functions are implemented? No, there is no need to do it. Suppose 5 functions are implemented, I can remaining 5 functions, I can make it as a dummy function or as a stub. Okay, and then I can test the complete application. And as and when the implementation is finished, I can replace that dummy code with the actual code, and then once again I need to test it again. So it's a continuous process. It is not only one-time process. This unit testing, then integration testings are done multiple times. And unit testing is not required to test it again unless the code is changed. But integration testing is required. Whenever you are making a change in one part of the code, one part of your project, then it might have a side effect on the other part of your project. So in that case, you need to test it again. And integration testing is required in that case. Okay, so there is one more Kai library, which is an assertion-based library, wherein it is a similar functionality like Jasmine. So again, once we learn this Jasmine framework, will be you will know how this BDD kind of testing works. So let's begin with this Jasmine framework, which is a behavior-driven development for testing the JavaScript code. So let's begin with a very simple example. I have a function hello world which returns a static string hello world. I need to test it. Okay, so how to test it? What are the test cases for this function? Okay, it is very simple. Whenever we call a function, it should always return a static string hello world. So it is there is only one test case, right? So let us see how to implement it in Jasmine. So the basically we have there is a describe function. There are two parameter, the name of the test suite, and the second parameter is the callback function. Within callback function, we have the different test cases. So a test specification. So there is a function it, and it also has two parameter. One is the name of the test case, a description of the test case, and second is the callback function which will be invoked. Now within the callback function, we can write down the actual test case. So here there are some built-in methods are used like expect. We are expecting what we are expecting. Within that, I'm invoking the hello world function. So this hello world will return some value so that I can compare via the matcher function. Like one of the matcher function available in Jasmine framework is to equal. So dot to equal, and the value should be string hello world. So this is my complete test case written in Jasmine. So there is a test suite. Within that, you can have multiple test specification, test spec, and within that you have you are testing say functions, classes, methods, services, and then you are expecting that they return some value. So there are some built-in matchers are there, or even you can create your own custom matcher. But most of the time built-in matchers are suffice. But see that we are comparing the return value by the hello world to be equal to hello world. So now see that how it is being written in Jasmine framework, that it looks like an English language, that it should say hello, and we are expecting hello world to equal hello world. So it looks like we are reading a English language statement, but it's a programming statements. So normally this is written like this, but this it is a test case, and we can have multiple it function. So they are basically the test specification. So it will invoke this hello world, and the return value is compared via the to equal method, and it is comparing with the hello world. So suppose that hello world function is reading hello world, this test case will pass, otherwise the test case will fail. Any doubt so far? Any doubt in this testing of the simple function hello world? Okay, file extension you already know. It is spec.test ts, or if you are testing JavaScript code, then the file name must end with spec.js. In describe, the first parameter is the description of the test suite. Second parameter is the callback function. Similarly, in test case it function, the first parameter is the you are describing what you are testing, and the second parameter it's a callback function. Within that, basically the testing code is there. Once you know this template, now the JavaScript this Jasmine framework is over, because this is only you need to know. The remaining part is the different kind of matchers you that are available that you can learn. So this is the only thing required for Jasmine framework, and we'll see a few more examples. But the idea, the crux is very simple, and a few more things is there. We'll also discuss it anyway. So these are the some built-in matchers like to content, to throw, to be, whether it is defined or not, whether it is false or not, whether the object is null or not. Okay, and even you can compare it with regex, or right, you can compare the number also. Greater than, less than, not a number, whether the function has been called or not, and how many times function was invoked. So there are a number of built-in matchers or useful matcher functions are available wherein you can use them. So for testing, we need to learn it separately. I am creating a separate Angular project. I'm creating a new Angular project, and then to test, as you know, whenever we create a new Angular project, by default it will have a one module, app module, and there will be one component, app component, and additional file you need to create yourself, like additional components, pipes, directives, services, components you need to create yourself. So after that, on the command line, you need to run this command ng test to test your Angular project. Basically, it will look for the spec.ts file. So for example, app component.spec.ts file, and there you can write down this Jasmine code basically. Okay, so this is the output of running this ng test command, and finally it will open a browser, Chrome browser, and then there it will show how many test cases are there and what is the output. Hello, there is a power failure, and as soon as the power comes, I will please connect it to the Google Classroom link, this Google link, Google Meet link. Once the power comes, I will join to this link. Okay, the power is restored now. So what we have done, we have created a new Angular project with the name Angular Test, and then we are simply running the ng test command, because by default there will be app component, and there is also a spec file within test cases are written. So it will try to execute the test cases available in that app component.spec.ts file. And this is the output. Let me show you full screen. So it will open the browser, and on the port number 9876, it is running this Karma, and it is basically testing it. And you will see that as an output, there are three specification. So there is one describe, but within that there are three it function. So there is one test suite. Under that test suite, there are multiple three test cases, and you'll see that all the three test cases pass, zero failures. And you can see that one test case says that should have the title Angular test, should render the title, should create the app. Okay, so basically whether we are able to create that app component or not, so whether it was successful or not, whether it has the property title, and one test case says that whether the property value is Angular test or not. So this is how this testing works. So now we are going to write our own test function. So basically how to test the basic function, and we'll see how the different matchers are available in Jasmine framework. So if you can also try this out on your machine. You create an Angular project, and then you can run the command ng test, and you should get this output in your Chrome browser. So there is also a corresponding configuration file for the Karma. In your project folder, you will see that there is a corresponding karma.conf configuration file, in which you can specify in which browser to display the outcome or the report of all the testing. Okay, any doubts so far? It is already configured. The Jasmine framework is also configured. This Karma automation tool is also configured. So you need not do anything else. Simply run the command ng test, and everything should work. And for any component that you created, corresponding spec file, you can write down the testing code for testing that component. Or if you created a pipe or you created services, any service, then you can write down the code in the file name. So suppose your file name is abc.ts, corresponding testing code should go inside abc.spec.ts. Okay, so is it clear how where to write your testing code? If your file name is abc.ts, you create a file abc.spec.ts. Is that clear? Where to write down the code? And already some scaffolded code will have some testing code for the component. So whenever you are creating the component using Angular CLI, by default it creates the spec file for Jasmine framework to test using Jasmine framework. So if you are writing app component.ts file, it will also generate the app component.spec.ts file. Is it fine up to this point? Once we learn all this Jasmine part, then we can apply it in our Angular code. doubt so far? Am I audible? Because there is no response from your side. Okay, fine. So because I don't know whether I'm audible at your side, it may be due to network, may not be audible. So, okay, so what we did, we are writing a function, say hello, export it so that it can be used in your testing code. So in your spec file, so basically you create this hello.ts file. There is a hello function which returns a static string. And now you create a hello.spec.ts file. You create a hello.spec.ts file in the source shape folder. You can import that file, say hello function from the hello file, and you write down the test suite using describe and test case using the it function. So the important part is this: expect say hello. So basically within expect we are invoking say hello function, which returns something which can be compared via the matcher, that is to be function, to be hello world. So and this test case should pass unless there is a spelling mistake or whether you have maybe uppercase, lowercase does not match. So based on that, either you will get an error or test case will pass. If everything is correct, then you should get this screen. Because already there are 3 test cases which were written for the app component. So right now we are ignoring that. But now the file that we have created, hello and hello spec. Hello, we are writing a hello function, and within the spec file, we are writing the test case. So this test suite is written in spec file. So we'll see that here this is the description of what you have written as part of the first parameter of the describe function, and if the test case pass, this corresponding description of the it function will be displayed over here. So that's why we know whether the test case passes or fails. And suppose I modify here, either I can modify in the test case or I can modify into the actual code. If it doesn't match with the hello world, the test case must fail. So normally we should not modify the test cases. Actually, normally there is a change in code, not in the test case. Always normally the test cases are not modified normally. But just to show you that if there is a mismatch, it should result into the error. So you can see that I have modified the string to be, it is comparing it with only hello, and you'll see that test case fails. Everything is in red. There are 4 specifications. Out of them, 1 fails. And it also says that expected hello world, but what we are expecting hello, but actually what we are getting hello world. Okay. And it will also show you where it failed, right? So again, this is the output in the, I have just taken the screenshot from the browser. I have not taken the whole part of the browser, just the part which is mentioning whether the test case passed or failed. So I have cropped the image just to highlight the report that shows that whether the test case is passed or failed. Out of 4 specification, only 1 of them failed. Remaining test case is passed. It also shows shows that in which test suite and which test case. So you need to appropriately write down the description of the test suite and test case. Let's say in my test suite, I am adding 1 more test case. Something like this. You can compare hello with hello. So basically right now it is not checking any code, but just to show you that string, we can match a string with another string. Okay, testing a string. So expect hello to be hello. So basically this test case will pass. Sometime if you want to check that your testing environment is properly set up, sometime it is also called as the sanity check. Everything is set up. You need to write down this kind of test cases just to make sure that everything is set up properly in any of your project, not necessarily the Angular project, but any language, any tool, any platform. Just you make sure that your testing environment is properly set up and you are getting the output. Okay, so it should pass because the string hello matches with the string hello. And you will see this. You will get this output. Right now, I have temporarily commented out this part of that component spec file, or we'll see the different way to basically to suppress the some of the testing part. We'll see in the upcoming slide how to do that. But if you don't want to taste something or some part, you can temporarily comment out, or there is one more way to do that also. So here we'll see that there are two specification, two test specification, and both of them passes. Okay. And in fact, I think here it should be hello world. So that is the change. Okay. Now, how to test an array using this 2B. So let us, just for understanding this Jasmine framework in more detail, we'll go through a few more examples. Like I want to test an array. So I'm creating an array within my test case. I'm not writing I'm leaving that test suite part or describe part. So I am just for focusing on that testing part only. I'm leaving that part in my screen, in my slide. So I create an array, and you can directly compare it with the static array. Instead of the static array, you can have some variable that is coming from your code also. So that is also possible. And this test case should pass. So here all these test cases basically whether it will pass or fail. So there are two main functions. One is 2B, another is 2 equal. So we have seen the use of both of them. Okay, initially in the previous slide, we had used in the examples, the example we have seen the use of 2 equal. So there are two functions or two matcher available in the Jasmine framework. One is 2 equal and 2B, but there is one subtle difference between the two. We'll see that. Here, if we try to compare this array object, so for string it is working fine, but when we are comparing this array using 2B, it fails. The output you can see that expected 123 to be 123B, but what happens if we are directly comparing this individual array? Basically array is an object, so the values are maybe the property of this object. So for that it is recommending that you use the 2 equal instead of the 2B function. Okay, instead of the 2B matcher we should use 2 equal. So whenever we are comparing the object, then we should use this 2 equal. So here this test case fails, and we should use, if we are comparing this array object, we should use 2 equal. Okay. So now if we replace the 2B matcher with the 2 equal, and the test case pass. Okay. So our testing an array works successfully. So that is the difference between 2B and 2 equal. Whenever you are going for comparing the objects, then you should go for 2 equal. If you are comparing the primitive data types, then you should go for the 2B matcher. Similarly, say suppose I want to compare the object. So I have created an object with two property X and Y. with the values 4 and 5 respectively, and I'm comparing using the matcher 2b. So see that again it fails, and again it is recommending to you. It is recommending to use the 2 equal instead of the 2b matcher. So make sure that if you are comparing the objects like this, or if you are comparing array, then you should use the 2 equal instead of 2b. And now if I replace b with 2 equal, test case passes. Okay. So this is basically learning the different matcher function, and now once you learn this, you can test your objects, you can test your methods, return value from the methods, and so forth. Similarly, whether you want to compare whether the substring exists in the given string, you can use the toContain method. So whether this string hello world contains the substring world, so of course this test case should pass. So you can use this matcher to the successful output for showing the remaining. I am adding these test cases as part of my test suite. Okay, so that's why I'm getting the 5 specs. Okay, 5 test specification. So there are 5 specs, and all of them pass. The 0 failures. Even you can use toContain method to check whether the array contains an element 3 or not, or this array of strings contains one of the string array element duck or not, or even you can check whether this array of objects contain particular object or not. So this is an array of 3 objects with property name, and I'm comparing whether this array of objects contain one of the object dog with the name Fido. Okay, whatever that name. So it exists and it should pass, but if this name is different other than any of the name available in this array of objects, it should fail. So this is also a useful matcher whenever you have either array of primitive types, array of strings, array of numbers, or even it could be an array of objects. You can use this toContain method to check whether it contains or not. So sometimes this test cases becomes easier to write using these available matchers. Any doubt so far? Okay, fine. I think we'll stop at this point, and we'll continue with more matcher functions in the next lecture, or maybe in the lab, and we'll try to finish this testing part, and then once it is finished, we'll start with this Node.js.